Hello, and welcome back to another English lesson. In today's English lesson, we are going to talk about a man named Elon Musk. Maybe you have heard of this guy. He is the richest man in the world, and recently he started working for the American government. He started working alongside President Trump. And for a lot of people who don't like President Trump, they now don't like Elon Musk. I have done an English lesson about his department in the government. It is called Doge. And what he and his team are doing are looking for places where the American government spends too much money. He also owns companies like SpaceX and Tesla. This is where the trouble comes in. In today's English lesson, we are going to watch a news clip about people setting fire to Teslas and doing all kinds of other damage. In today's English lesson, we will talk about domestic terrorism. We'll talk about the city of Austin, Texas. We'll talk about the English phrasal verb showed up. The English phrasal verb cheered on. We'll talk about the verb honking, a couple different ways we use the verb honking. We'll talk about the word thrice, not twice, thrice. We'll talk about what it means to think twice. Do you know this verb? Wielding. The English phrasal verb shut down. And two more English phrasal verbs that use a very difficult word, take over, and take down. We'll talk about what it means to resist arrest and what it means to set ablaze. And of course, so many more. If that sounds useful to you, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, and let's watch that news clip together.
Protests across the country continuing this weekend against Elon Musk and his role in the federal government. The movement came to North Austin this morning with a protest outside a Tesla store.
Now, they don't mention domestic terrorism in the newscast, but when researching this English lesson, I heard a lot about this phrase. For each of the terms, I will have a picture, I will have the official definition, and I will use it in a sentence. Domestic terrorism is when someone in the country uses violence to scare others or make a point. Foreign terrorism is when that threat happens from outside of the country. The FBI is calling some of the attacks domestic terrorism. You know, people causing violence so other people won't buy Teslas. And of course, there are protests. Let's talk about what that means. It's a public action where people show they are angry or disagree with something. People held a protest outside the Tesla factory. And one of the biggest factories for Tesla is in Austin, Texas. It is a big city in Texas where Tesla has a factory. Many Tesla workers live in Austin, where Tesla's headquarters are located.
Fox 7 Austin's Lauren Rangel is live in the studio tonight with more. Lauren.
Yeah, John, several dozen people showed up hoping their presence outside this North Austin Tesla store would turn people away from the business. A line of protesters cheer on vehicles, honking in support as they chant.
I am glad you showed up for this English lesson. They use the English phrasal verb showed up in the newscast, so let's talk about what it means. Arrived or came to a place. Many people showed up to the protest. I showed up to the test 5 minutes late and was unable to take it. I hope you have family and friends who are cheering you on as you improve your English. If somebody cheers you on, that means to support someone by shouting or clapping. The crowd cheered on the workers at the rally. Honking. Let's talk about how we use honking in a couple different ways. It could mean pressing a car horn to make a noise. People drove by and started honking in support. In other words, they were using their horns to cheer on the protesters. But in the picture, I have a couple Canadian geese. When Canadian geese make noise, we sometimes say they are honking. The Canadian geese were honking loudly.
Organizers are hoping to hit Elon Musk where it could hurt the most, Tesla. So Saturday morning, they lined Research Boulevard near the Tesla store off Pond Springs Road in North Austin.
We want people to think twice, thrice, and 4 times before they buy a Tesla, because they're going to see this every time they go to a Tesla showroom.
They want people to sell their Teslas, dump Tesla stock, and join them.
Okay, a man in the interview uses the word thrice, but to be honest, I don't think native English speakers use it that often. It is a good word to know though, and it's just another way to say 3 times. He called Musk thrice, but got no answer. Yeah, that doesn't even sound natural when I say it, and it's definitely not as common as twice, which means 2 times. You might hear the term think twice. That means to stop and think before doing something. The protesters want you to think twice before buying a Tesla. Dumping stock, that means to sell all of your shares of a company quickly. Some investors dumped Tesla stock after the news.
This is insane, and we cannot stand for this unelected person wielding almost unlimited power throughout our government.
This comes after Musk began leading the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, in January. That led to a mass layoff of employees and efforts to shut down the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Wielding, it's a verb, and it means holding something in your hand, usually a tool or a weapon. One protester, I did not see a protest sign with this message, but one protester was wielding a big sign that said, "Tesla sucks." As I mentioned earlier, I have done an entire English lesson on Doge, at least when it comes to the government department. But Doge is also a cryptocurrency. Doge is a short name for a government office. Also sounds like Dogecoin, a joke cryptocurrency Musk likes. Some people think Musk uses Doge for fun and power. In the government, Doge stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. And when you hear efficiency, just think something works better. It takes less time to do something or less money. They mention mass layoffs in the newscast. Let's talk about what that means. It's when many workers lose their jobs at the same time. Tesla workers are worried about mass layoffs.
I would like the government to start following the rules and not let Musk take over.
This North Austin protest is just one of many across the country. The movement deemed the Tesla Takedown.
We have to show that the public wants change, and we want Elon Musk out of the federal government.
I think for the next 3 terms, we have some tricky English phrasal verbs. Here is the first one, shut down. It means to close or stop working. The protest shut down the road for hours. And in that picture, we can see a sign that says a business is closed. Maybe some businesses had to shut down for the day because of the protests. Take over. That means to get control of something. People worry Musk wants to take over the government too much. My wife and I, Jamie, love to take long road trips. Well, sometimes when I am driving, I get tired and I might ask her to take over the driving. Let's look at these sentences below. I am getting tired. Can you take over the driving? I think take is a very difficult word in English. We have so many different ways we use it. Here is another phrasal verb with take, and it's take down. It means to remove or stop something. Some protesters want to take down Musk's company. In Syria, we've talked about Syria before on this channel. The Assad government was taken down by the citizens.
In Las Vegas, Teslas were set on fire with the word resist spray painted on the store. In Massachusetts, charging stations set ablaze. The White House calling for an end to these violent acts.
It's despicable, the violence that has taken place against Tesla, the company, its employees, and also just Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle. We would like Democrats to also come out and condemn this heinous violence that we have seen.
Back in Austin, protesters say they will keep the peace with plans to show up every Saturday.
Resist. I think in the newscast, there is a sign that says resist. It means to fight against something. I do my best to resist eating too much during the holidays. It's very tough. Sometimes I am not always successful in resisting those sweets. You might also hear someone who is resisting arrest. That means they are fighting the police who are trying to arrest them. Set ablaze. It simply means to set something on fire. Someone set a Tesla car ablaze in Massachusetts. Ugh. Despicable. It means very bad or mean. About 50% of Americans find Trump and Musk despicable. If you condemn something, it means you say something is very wrong. President Trump condemned the violence at the protest. We've also talked about President Trump wanting to take over Greenland. Many people are condemning President Trump's desire to take over Greenland. Who knows? Maybe many of the people of Greenland will resist the takeover. Heinous. It means very shocking and terrible. Setting fire to the building was a heinous act. Luckily, I think that is just an example sentence. I don't think any buildings have been set ablaze. Congratulations, you made it to the end of another English lesson. If you are looking for that English lesson about Doge, it is right down there. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.